All right, everybody, welcome to Moonhawk Studios Presents. It's a show that has people on it, usually.
Stuff and things.
That's right. I am your host, Mac Paladin, and we got Adam in the studio.
How are we even doing a show this week?
You see, I hit the button. It started the program.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Welcome to this shit show every day.
No singing.
Of course, on the technicals, we have Petty Fan.
Yeah.
Kevin's over there conscientiously objecting.
Is that what I'm doing? I honestly don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Well, you object to something. I don't know if it's conscientiously.
It probably is.
And, of course, we also have the Galax.
Allegedly.
He tasks me and I will have him. So we have no guest this week. I almost had no home.
Well.
Yeah, I almost had no home. And we're here, so get used to it.
We live here now, in the walls.
The late start is due to the fact that I nearly threw out my shoulder and my back moving the busted 52-inch rear projection Sony television set that it's part of the catastrophe of the flood in my house, and I'll talk more about that soon-ish. But Adam, why don't you start us off with your news?
Somehow you're not the person I know that's doing the worst right now. I'm like,
Oh, the night is young. It remains to be seen.
I mean, well, considering what my brother's been going through this year, it's like, and continues to go through. I don't think you want to in on that competition. Like, but aside from that, it's been a quiet week. Really? Like, the biggest thing is I've got my yearly vision check scheduled for next month. Like,
sorry, I had to knock on wood for you. You just love inviting the jinx.
Indeed.
Please continue.
Anyway, that's my news this week. Kevin?
All right, Kevin?
Well, it's busy time. Is about to start to get to a busy time at the AMC. We got that Twisters movie coming out this weekend. It's probably going to get a lot of the certain kind of people that love seeing extreme weather on the big screen. Hint my accent.
Please stop talking like that right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to do that because I was making a point. I'm sorry if I had to do that, but I had to do that because it's an obvious what audience is going to be watching that, and I'm very interested to see how big it is, and I'm going to get to see that firsthand because I'm on the concession stand on preview night Thursday night, so we'll see. We shall see. And, of course, then next weekend is probably the weekend where we're all going to be put to the test, and that is because we're going to have to be both, cleaning theaters, selling tickets, and also, pretty much police officers, because it's, Deadpool and Wolverine, and it is a hard R, and there will be, people trying to, skirt around the rules. So that's going to be fun. And, other than that, that's pretty much my news. Petty, what's going on in your world?
Still trying to help Mom find a job. It's a pain in the ass. It's been hot as hell. Luckily, we have that nifty pool in the backyard, so we can just kind of go jump on in. When the heat index says it's like 111, I'm like, yeah, no thanks. Hello, pool.
Huh. Mm.
Yeah, it's real nice. The heat index is 111, and the pool thermometer says it's about 85 in there. And yeah, other than that, not a whole lot else been going on here. So I guess Gulix.
I know you guys don't think it would be super hot here, but I accept the fact that I'm kind of a wimp in the heat. It's been over 80 in the day and then like up to 70s even at night.
Well, you're
and
also in the New Michigan, not New Michigan,
New England, yeah, and I also am very close to the ocean, so low humidity here is about 60%.
I had a mild stroke, Mac. It's fine.
Yeah, low humidity here is around 60%, so it rarely gets below 50. I don't know. So yeah, I don't have too much interesting news because I don't have too much energy. There was a Splatfest in Splatoon 3 last weekend, and I did okay. Actually, there's kind of a lot going on last weekend, wasn't there? Because there was also a Pokemon Go. Anyway. But yeah, unsurprisingly, team, if I had to pick between places to reserve for a day, Palace was not a high selection, but I was surprised at how many more people picked theme park or amusement park than beach. But I guess people really hate lines. And they announced another non-final Splatfest for next month, so that's neat. I don't know. I've mostly just been trying to keep up with stuff without having a whole lot of energy.
Huh.
I don't think I really have anything else to say right now.
So.
Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I was about to say, where are we starting?
It's another fucking flood.
Mm-hmm.
So, you all know I've been dealing with the ongoing saga of the water leaks around here.
Yeah.
Things were starting to stabilize, and I was starting to
Uh-huh.
fix things.
Something days that end in Y.
Except I broke the bootloader on the art machine. Well, now the power supply is dead, so I picked up some more power supplies. I keep finding these really nice power supplies for $5 over at Evolve. Yeah, so we had some kind of torrential downpour that racked the city so hard that it knocked out power in 100% of Tucson.
Damn. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm. And that caused the sewage circulating pump in our building to go out. Because some of us are slightly below ground, which means that the dirty shit water has to go up before it goes back down.
Fun.
And, when you're in a 6-foot hole in the ground and it rains, it tends to fill up with water. When this pump is working normally, our backyards don't flood. The water started pouring over the little wall, and then, you know that puzzle where they show the different glasses and ask you which one will fill up first? That was the effect.
Fun.
Yeah. So, of course, last week, give or take, Pingu had her babies, and she had 4 of them. And during the previous rainstorm, I rescued them with her. And so they were all on the patio. And then this shit happens. And 3 of them died.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. We did manage to save one. And its name will be, I haven't figured out the gender of their kitten yet. But when we do, I've given it a appropriately gender neutral name. It's all white and fluffy. I'm calling it Snow.
What was that you cut out a little bit?
I said I'm naming it, because it's white and fluffy, I'm naming it Snowy.
Snowy.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of ironic for Arizona, but you do you.
I mean, I could name the cat Washed Out. Little too on the nose there.
Rapids.
During this whole incident, there was a 1.5 foot deep puddle of water inside my apartment.
Again.
All 7 apartments on the ground floor here had water. 6 or 8 or I don't know how many fucking apartments are in this building anymore, and I don't care. So yeah, so I was squishing around. So even when the water was drained out, I was still squishing around in here. Of course, Doodles and Tippy were beside themselves. Doodles jumps up on my lap a couple of days on Monday, and I have to like wrestler hold her in place while I pull a Tippy claw out of her face. So I have not been having a good time. I've lost some power adapters. My Wii U is temporarily non-functional while I get replacement AC adapters. And Lord knows what else is busted. At least 2 computers that were on the floor have bad power supplies. They have lost a number of possible game consoles. We'll see. The PlayStation 4, the customized PS3, and the Atari Jaguar were all at sub-water level.
Oof.
Yeah, I was going to set it up because I have this little wooden crate shelf thingy over here on the back side of this room. And I was setting it up as the quote-unquote Atari station. So yeah, so the Jaguar was on the floor. Everything that was inside of drawers and cabinets was safe. You know, it's amazing because after the last couple of incidences with water, I actually started stacking furniture in such a way that my computers and other generally valuable electronics were no longer on the floor. So you can imagine how pleased I am that my Ryzen 9 that I just rebuilt did not get fried in the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this
And
is why my computers don't go on the floor. Like, I'm in a spot in Missouri where the only way we flood is it creates a new Great Lake in the middle of the country. But still,
Weird.
my computers stay on top of my desk.
We're in Arizona, in the Rocky Mountains area, 2,200 feet above sea level, surrounded by mountains. We shouldn't even have tornado-like activity here.
Yeah.
So, you know, thank you, industrial age, for ushering in global warming. And I have invented a term that has less slur-ish connotations to refer to these kinds of people. But thanks to the fuck-nados in this world who don't want to get their head unlodged from their asses and actually do something about this.
Yeah, well, you know why they aren't.
Well, because doing nothing is cheaper than doing something.
Exactly. That's the problem. That's the fucking problem, unfortunately.
Technically, destroying the environment isn't bad for business, as long as you ignore the part where you die.
Yeah.
People voting against
and your livelihood is destroyed, but you know, it doesn't. It's not going to affect me until it does.
It's not going to affect us badly this quarter.
Voting against your life, voting against your own interests is about as smart as inviting the Teamsters to speak before the RNC.
I hate that. You're a monster.
Yeah, it's like
Topical.
I didn't say you were wrong. We were also a monster.
No, this is a thing that actually happened. Yeah, and he opens his speech with, in the it's great to be here because in the 121 years of the Teamsters' existence, we've never been invited before to speak before the RNC.
yeah, this is the same Republican Party that voted to cut our pensions.
Reminds you of the time when they hired a wolf for the or hired a sheep for the wolf pack election coverage, and they were shocked that they'd never been invited before.
It's a little like that time that they invited the Colbert to play the character at the White House press correspondence dinner when Bush was in office.
Well, granted, Bush is also an idiot, so...
Yeah. I mean, they would have been better off if they invited the person that he was making fun of, the actual Bill O'Reilly.
Although that's kind of hard to do nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah, but he hadn't been canceled.
The whole...
He hadn't been canceled yet 16 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, he wasn't then. Yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
That's why he was parody, because he was not, we didn't know shit about him yet.
Yeah, I watched the video clip of the Teamster rep speaking before the RNC, and it was a comedy of errors. And 30 seconds into his speech, the cheering stopped, and everybody started lowering their signs.
They're like, it's like, you're in the wrong place, pal.
I think he knew that, and he was saying that right off the top.
I wanted to send them a message. It's like, they're not here for you, and you're talking in prime time. That's the red meat time. That's not for you.
That was the point. That was the entire point. It was the Republicans who made the mistake of inviting the Teamsters, not the other way around.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Teamsters. It wasn't the Teamsters. It wasn't the Teamsters. Stop. It wasn't the Teamsters' mistake for accepting the invitation.
No. Well, you on the other hand, it's not really a mistake because you know why they did that, because there are union members, specifically in the unions that the Teamsters represent, that are conservative.
Yeah, except for nothing he said. Nothing he said goes along with what they're promoting at the RNC. Everything that he said. Everything that he said was on point against conservatives right now. The initiatives and ideas that he was promoting would have worked perfectly at the DNC, not at the RNC.
Right.
So the Republicans fucked up because it was like acting like the Teamsters weren't gonna stay on brand, and that they were just going to, I don't know, say something that appeals to current conservative talking points.
Yeah.
So
or on the other hand, or at the very least, be a little attacking of Democrats more. If not kissing up, at least fire and brimstone on Democrats for not being tough enough or whatever.
I mean,
but yeah, that's not how it ended up.
Yeah. But you see, the thing is, the Teamsters leadership knows the same thing that those of us who actually had a civics class once or twice actually know. and that is, it doesn't matter what party is in charge. If they don't have a supermajority, they ain't getting shit done.
Hmm. But
Neat.
at the same time, as long as the
because of the current state of politics.
Mhm.
I mean,
right. But at the same time,
Trump
time,
Trump for 2 years had a sympathetic House and Senate and barely got anything done.
yeah, he had a trifecta because people voted for Republican Congress because they thought Hillary was going to win, and she did.
Yep.
But
And he still couldn't get anything done.
But what I'm getting at is that, yeah, he still couldn't, exactly. But it's like as long as, there isn't a supermajority for anybody, yeah. I mean, nothing's getting done, but at the same time, nothing's going to get taken away.
No, but that's what I'm saying is that nothing is gonna move. So there's no point in getting hostile against the Democrats for quote unquote not being tough enough when they were working on trying to get extremely liberal legislation through. But you can't do that when you have a House of Representatives that works on pure majority rule that is currently controlled by the Republicans, not kicking nonsense over to the Senate that they know is going to die in committee because there's not a single Democrat who's going to, because the Democrats only have 52 votes that they can kind of sort of rely on.
Mm.
And even then, they don't have enough votes for cloture because no one will get rid of the filibuster. And we can all just die mad about that. Because unless we did something like get enough legislatures and governors together to force a constitutional convention and draft new amendments that people will take 18 years to vote on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not going to change. Unless we have the most miracle rolls of the dice and flip a bunch of quote unquote flyover states. Places that don't actually have any population. Montana is almost as large as California and has one district.
Wyoming is smaller than the territory of Cuba population. Or not,
I think
Puerto
Montana
Rico.
is bigger than California.
I don't believe so.
I think it's the third biggest state.
No.
California
Fourth.
is Alaska, Texas, California, Montana.
Yep.
Anyway,
I guess I was wrong.
So, but the point is that you have that massive state and it has one district.
Mm-hmm.
You have Wyoming. Almost the same
I live in
size as
Maine and we
Colorado.
qualify for 2.
Right. Because for whatever reason, people actually want to live in Maine. Nobody wants to live in Montana or Wyoming.
Well, part of the problem with like Montana and Wyoming is good amount of that's still owned by the federal government.
Yeah, you got a lot of national parks and a lot of federally owned licensed resource extraction territory.
Mm-hmm.
But unless some miracle like that were to happen to where, somehow both senators from those states were blue, and maybe Kansas and Nebraska and Idaho and something like that, which again, you'd have to be huffing the glue to the point of gluing your nostrils together before that fantasy would happen. This is the way of things. So anyway, yeah, I've got murkiness. I do highly recommend Surge Master Gold surge protectors. This one here under my desk was filled with about 16 ounces of muddy water and still operating.
Fun.
Yeah. Although every once in a while I did hear little zappy noises coming from it. The smell of burnt electronics in the morning.
Smells like rotten fish.
No, it really doesn't. It smells a little bit like fried axle grease.
Mm.
I know, a 30-year career, I've smelled it enough times. May have lost one of my two Xbox 360s. Find out. I've been letting it sit on the table, drying out, raining out.
Mm-hmm.
The gaming computer that I was gifted by a fan, friend, partner in crime, only lost the power supply, which I had bought from Free Geeks up in Oregon. It was a modular Seasonic power supply, and so I'm kind of sad that that's gone. But like I said, I was able to get a respectable EVGA 600 watt to replace it. So now it matches my graphics card, which is also EVGA. But I plugged in my Prudent Way test power 550 watt test power supply into it and ran the machine for a couple of hours, and no glitches. Whee! Now I just got to see if I can salvage the art machine that I just rebuilt with an i7 gifted to me by my friend Nathan from San Diego. And then maybe I'll actually get to those commissions and doing some VTubing.
Oh man, God tube those V's. Wait.
Hold on. Knock on that damn wood again. Yeah, they're talking about funky weather again this coming week. So fuck everything.
Yeah, our rain apocalypse is coming later this week.
I'm telling you, it's like something out of Revelations, you know. First, the populist demagogue gets shot and survives. Torrential floods, hurricanes. I'm pretty sure that the frogs were appearing in record numbers. All we need is locusts and for Mystery Babylon to head into the woods and the two heralds to be executed, and we'll be set.
I mean, aren't
unfortunately, insects are having a massive population loss.
Yeah.
Also, frankly, I'm almost kind of glad the Orange Horror survived, because this way he can keep making a goddamn fool out of himself instead of being a martyr forever.
I'm making dark humor about the apocalypse. I'm not really that overly concerned about Donald Trump. I feel bad for the guy who actually died.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's
like 2 or 3 other people who got hurt.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's it. Although, well, you know, I feel bad for the guy who died, but yeah, some of his tweets have been put out there, and well,
I mean,
to say if the shoe was on the other
the guy
foot,
who actually got hit by him.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Some of his tweets have actually come out, and well,
I guess he wasn't at Trump rally.
There is a reason why he was at that rally. Wink, wink.
On the other foot, I don't think there will have been the same grace by the guy. Yeah, pretty much. And his last tweet noting that he was going to the rally was to a certain Twitter user who has a cat for an avatar.
Fun.
Oh boy. I mean,
yeah. So he was friends. He was united. Yeah, he was friends with that crowd. So. Yeah, but, you know, I just say, say some things for his children, maybe his wife too, but other than that, yeah, like, it's one of those things where you try to not be too harsh, because, but it's like, it's one of those things where you know for a fact that you would not be afforded the same grace.
Well, you know, I'm not one of those do unto others before they do unto me kind of people. So,
right.
So I still feel sympathy for the brainwashed because they didn't ask to be brainwashed.
True.
Or have their brains washing the bleachers.
Yeah.
True.
So let's not go down that
Right.
monstrous. Let's not go down that
I get it.
monstrous path
I'm trying not.
of being.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm trying to stay balanced. Trust me, I'm not going full down that road. It's just
Mhm.
Oh, I get you.
I'm not
Believe
full
me, I
down
get
that road.
you.
It's just I gotta balance it here, cause but it's not like a case that I'm going full attack.
I mean, it's like imagine if he had just never been there in the first place.
Yeah. Imagine if he stayed home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
I mean,
could have
plus
been.
plus
Just stayed home tweeting.
he wasn't the target. Yeah, he wasn't the
Wow,
target.
Petty.
No, he wasn't. I mean,
It's
we don't
just
know that for
crazy.
sure, but
It's just crazy. But
Yeah.
it's like look, by showing some grace to the victims of the shooter.
yeah. I mean, I'm showing grace to the wife and the kids. Don't worry.
I'm reminding everybody. No, I don't think I'm better. I know I'm better.
Yeah. If this was the other way
Yeah,
around
right,
and someone attacked, and
Yeah,
then
a liberal, but yeah.
and then liberal died. Oh God, the Republicans would not. Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
but you see, but that's all part of the
Particularly if it's
reminding.
trans or black.
But that's all reminding everybody that we are better than them is by being able to show that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just hard because for a
Actually,
fact,
that's one of the things
just
that
hard.
bothers me
It's just hard.
bothers me the most these days is that there seems to be among certain sectors on the left a really strong desire for someone who would sink to the other side's level, and I don't think that's healthy.
They think it's how people are going to win. They're like, well, we got to beat them at their own game, and it's like, no, we really don't.
I almost think those are the left who lived in a right-wing household and are on the left to get back at mom and dad, but don't actually know.
Let me push back on this just a little. Let me push back on this just a little bit, okay? Because we have to understand that in certain sections of the right today, particularly with the Republican Party, I mean, apparently tonight at the RNC they were chanting "Send them back" loudly and proudly, holding sign that says "Mass deportations now."
Yeah, I was about to say. When you posted the tweet, I saw it trending "Mass deportation now." So yeah.
Yeah. What I'm getting at is this. It's easy to say, we can't, we have to stay human and everything else. But at the same time, but it's easy to say, honestly, because everybody on the stream right now, I think it's safe to say is white, right? So the fact of the matter is that when it comes to this kind of conversation, the right is mainstreaming right now hatred. It just is. No matter how much we want to slice it. And eventually there's going to come a point where, when these people clearly are shown to be bigots when something like this happens, it's not an easy thing to just go, thoughts and prayers, leave it at that. It's a case of, wait a minute. If you're like someone of color and whatnot, it's like, wait a minute. You make it clear that you don't believe that I'm an American. Mm-hmm. You make it very clear that you basically you don't want me to be a part of this country. You don't want me to, to be free, and probably in terms of their religion, you probably want me dead. Mm-hmm. So it's I'll feel sorry for your children because they're still very much innocent in mind and everything else. Mm-hmm. I'll feel sorry for your widow or widower, whatever the case may be. But when it comes to you, it's a case of, you probably didn't deserve it, but if the shoe was on the other foot, you would probably be cheering my death.
Yeah, and I feel a similar thing because I'm a disabled adult. These people would want me dead as well.
Yes, so it's a case. So it's just a case of, yeah, we want to be human. We want to, have grace. We want to, not be, you fall down to their level. But at the same time,
I
it's
also,
like,
don't want slurs
how am
thrown
I
at me all the
supposed
time, stuff like that.
hey, like, slurs, bigotry, stuff like that. It's like
You're not wrong,
it's
but
not
that's not really what I was getting at.
Fair.
right. I know.
I'm just more concerned at the people who don't seem to have the patience for non-totalitarian solutions to their problems, and don't seem to understand that if both sides start breaking all the norms and standards, you don't have a game anymore.
Right. I understand that, and I understand, the worry that, both sides will devolve and stuff like that. But it's just
if we fall into this, all right, if we fall into this, the only path forward is anarchy. I'm not saying that we have to sit there and tolerate their ideas, but we do have to tolerate their. Okay, and nobody's saying not to fight against their unctuous ideas. But I will be goddamned if anybody on this podcast is gonna use my platform to cheer for somebody else's death.
No, that's not what. Unless they are actual.
Unless they are somehow actual Hitler.
Right.
Okay.
And let me make it very, 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 very clear. That's not what I'm doing here at all.
I know,
right?
I know, but
Like,
I'm just saying.
Natural causes, it's fine.
It
we just don't want murder.
Yeah,
right.
you can't
exactly, and nobody here is cheering for murder at all, ever.
Right. The easiest way to guarantee that you cannot change someone's mind is to take them off the board.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Completely.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
As long as someone is still alive, you can still change their mind. As long as they haven't done anything, as long as they haven't actually done anything to you, you can still change their. You can still change
their mind, or you could at the very least ignore them.
You can deprogram them from the cult, but once they're dead and gone, that's it.
Right.
There is no revelation for them. There's no game changer. No, do not put up the last
although I will
background.
Damn.
Although I probably might say that, it might also be although I will say that probably the older you are, the probably likelier that you probably can't be changed. But I mean, like in your 30s and 40s, maybe even your 50s, yeah. Like you could easily get to a point where you go, where you can easily wait for a moment where they go, wait a minute.
Anyway,
But anyway.
Moving on.
Moving on, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying that with all the disaster, on the flip side of things, in a completely unsurprising, Donald Trump did not call the widow.
That's the wild thing. Like
he went on a golf trip and didn't say a goddamn word about it.
Yeah, like literally, it's like he literally died. If you think about it, that guy literally died for him.
Yeah,
and then the day after he started taping some random Band-Aid package to his ear or something, as if there was still something to cover.
Also, the T-shirts and collectible cards came out within 12 hours.
Yeah.
Well, I saw it happen like within like 2-3 times less than that. Like I saw that someone posted up a shirt at like 3 hours later.
Yeah.
Like they were quick with it. Much quicker than that.
It's almost like they had. It's almost like they had the template ready to go.
Yeah, weird how that works.
Now, I'm just gonna say. Let me just push back on that insinuation just a little bit, because that's the insinuation that it was staged.
You better. Hold up. You better check your tone there, because I was checking my tone.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking I'm talking about other people who might be listening might get that insinuation. Not you. Not you. That's not what you're insinuating. I'm not suggesting that.
I really don't want to have that conversation. It was a joke, I'm not
going to agree with that. By the way, I'm not. I know. I'm not.
Joke in poor taste.
That's what. I get it. I'm not at all saying that that's your insinuation. I'm saying that that's what other people's insinuation might be. That's not what you're insinuating, and I'm not suggesting that.
Yeah, so we're not going to even talk about it.
There are
no.
Okay. But I was just going to say that's not the case at all.
No, see, you don't get to insert it after I say we're not going to talk about it. You don't get to say, but I was just going to say, because that's trying to insert it when I said we're not going to talk about it, because it was a bad joke in poor taste on my part. I was being very cheeky.
All right.
And I don't care that other people meant it. Because we've already given way too much oxygen to this entire conversation.
All right. All right. Moving on.
But the important takeaway from this is that interestingly enough, Donald Trump's polling data actually has not gone up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it stayed frozen.
Yeah.
It didn't move up. It didn't move after the debate. It didn't move after after all of this nonsense. It has not moved a single bit. It has not moved a single bit. Like,
I thought it went
his
down
ceiling
a little
is
bit after
45-46.
I thought it went down a little bit after the debate.
It went down a bit. It went down like a point or two, but the point is that his ceiling is static.
Mm-hmm.
It's 45-46. He cannot get above that.
Yeah.
And these calls for Biden to step down are myopic at best.
It's hilarious.
It's a classic example of take action without a plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
it's
okay,
annoying.
Okay,
like, it's like Biden, based on all metrics, still has a more than 50% shot at beating Trump. Okay.
Right.
Whereas who is the alternative? They keep saying, "Well, we're going to put Michelle Obama in there." Michelle Obama has to consent. You can't just make her fucking president.
Also, the answer is nobody, because in some states it is very close to, if not already past, the absolute deadline for changing anything on the election ballots, and it will be challenged in court, and you know how the Supreme Court is.
The ballots are being printed as we speak right now.
It's too fucking late.
Well, I don't think they're being printed. I don't think they're being printed, but they will be printed next month. Yes.
Yeah, the deadlines haven't gone past, but
they're getting close.
There's only one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they can't because Biden isn't the nominee yet. But to that end, that'll change with the virtual roll call happening at the end of July into beginning of August.
First week of August, sometime I think probably from what I've read, like August 3rd, 4th, 5th, somewhere around then.
Yeah, which is being done to combat some chicanery the Ohio GOP threw in not too long ago.
Yeah.
And these dim bulbs want to delay the virtual roll call and risk, being in that period of time where they would be in non-compliance of the law.
Right. So
basically leaving it up to the Ohio GOP here, which is no.
Or the GOP in other states. Let's talk about Ohio. Let's talk about other states as well. There will probably might be other states that might play a game.
That may be the future.
There might be other states,
but it's specifically Ohio. That's the
Ohio's the catalyst for this. Yes, but if there's a change made in results, right. But what I'm getting at is that if it's moved because of Ohio, then perhaps Ohio won't be the only state that tries to, do something. And it probably might not be the states themselves. It might be con legal, as I like to say. The conservative legal apparatus that is ready to pounce at any given moment.
But
Look,
apparently,
Huh.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm sorry,
it's
it's
definitely at the point where it would be
Where it
challenged.
Right.
but all of that
I'm sorry, it's
doesn't-
just this thing has been bugging me all week.
Mhm.
Probably more
It's
than
been
everybody else here. It's
Well, it's
actually
been
not
annoying
annoyed
me
me
because
it's angered
people-
me.
people keep
Let
fucking
Adam
bringing
speak.
this shit up
Mm-hmm.
when Biden has said no, like in
Yeah.
public several
He's
times.
continued. And private.
Like,
And private.
yeah, but
If somebody
you
wants
know,
to take his nomination, they're going to have to out-primary him.
well, here's the thing. There's
Or at
like,
or yell
well,
at him.
here's
Can
the
you
thing.
let Adam speak?
There's no mechanism to do that
Mm.
Mm-mm.
because of the way that the DNC has crafted the nomination process due to backroom dealings in 1968 and 1972. It's like
Mm-mm.
they can't do that
Mm.
because all of the pledged delegates are legally bound to vote, the way the primaries went. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Here's the thing, like, what's the move? Like, apparently the move has just been begging and pleading in private, though apparently the
Right.
The caliber of Dem has been growing over the past few weeks.
Growing, right? But it's still the same point. The point of the matter is this.
Yeah.
It's you want me to get out? Firstly, you're not saying for who. We are at a point now where you can't just simply go, "Oh, just drop out. We'll figure it out ourselves." No, that's not how this works.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
We've got
It's for this very. There's only really one option. It's Kamala Harris, the vice president. That's why she's there. That's why she's the vice president.
Even then,
Like
things
any
would be
other option,
dicey.
no, it wouldn't. Because first of all, Biden is not going to simply drop out.
No,
He's going to choose. He's going to choose the person he's going to drop out for.
Calm down.
Sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry if I'm upset. This has upset me all week.
Here's the political landscape in reality as it stands right now. As far as the Democrats are concerned, of all the Democrats in politics who are qualified and have standing to become president of the United States, Kamala Harris is the only one that comes even close to defeating Trump in November. Now, here's the other problem.
Correct.
The only other Democrat, registered or otherwise, that has a hope of beating Donald Trump in November, besides Joe Biden, who right now 538 is giving him a minimum 53% chance of becoming of getting a second term. Right now, Trump is at 46 and Biden's at 53%. And there's a 1% uncertainty factor. The only other Democrat running in or out of politics that could beat Donald Trump in November is Michelle Obama. And for the last 16 years, she's been saying, I don't want anything to fucking do with politics.
With politics,
I will not run for president.
She said it.
I will not run for president. I will not run for any other office. The Democrats would literally have to drug her and taxidermy her into a robot to get her to run.
And then they'd still have to have Biden releases. And then they'd still have to have Biden release his delegates.
In which case, exactly. In which case, I would have to remind Democrats that consent is very sexy. Okay? You know, you don't do things like
cool.
She said this.
So,
sorry.
Yeah,
Right,
so Fringe.
Right, Michelle
Fringe
has said this. Sorry.
No, if you're sorry, then give me a second and then say your piece. All right. So
Go
the
ahead.
last thing I'm going to say on
Go
this
ahead.
is
Mhm.
I forgot what I was going to say. Thank you, Kevin. Go ahead and say what you were going to say.
No, it was the cross thing with Discord. I'm sorry. I was trying to stop at the cross. It's the delay on the Discord, but look, what I was going to say is just sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Discord is trying to delay me here.
All right.
No, what I was just going to say was that, but yeah, Michelle Obama has said in books, in articles, in interviews, every time that she has had a microphone placed upon her or in her face, or anytime she's been able to speak on this question, because she has been asked about this question many, many, many times, that she wants nothing to do with this, and probably likely because of what she experienced over the course of Obama's presidency, how they treated her, how they treated him. No, it was probably, well, it accelerated afterwards. It probably firmed up.
She said in an interview in 2014, I believe it was, that she basically agreed to let Barack run for president without it impacting their marriage.
Right.
Kicking and screaming. That he dragged her into that world, kicking and screaming that she wanted nothing to do with it. And while she doesn't regret going along with him through his journey through politics, she much prefers to be a free agent because it allows her to do things that she would not be able to do if she were in elected office.
Right.
She feels she has more impact not being an elected official.
Right. I get you. And it's like, but what I'm trying to get at is, she might not have said this publicly, but I just personally believe that along with that, there's the whole experience, because she was there with him over the course of all of his presidency and also 2016.
I suppose,
It probably solidified it firmly. Like, it's the case of, I've already been asked this question. I've already given you my answer. Stop asking me, please.
But she's been pretty on brand.
Michelle is getting nowhere close.
She has been on message as long as she has been in the public eye, and longer. She's been consistent with the fact that she prefers to be a lawyer and an activist than a politician. She has always said that. She has never deviated from that notion. Her little 8-year sojourn being the First Lady of the United States did not change that. Didn't change her tune. In fact, it only crystallized to her original stance. But she said long ago, when Barack first started getting into politics, before he was even a name that any of us knew, when he first started getting into that 30 years ago, she was like, no. She was like, nah, you do this, I'll support you, but you're on your own.
Right. Pretty much, yes.
I'll back you up, but I'm not going to get out there and start stumping for people. So.
Well, she may stump for some people, but she's not going to stump for everybody, everywhere, in every state, in every jurisdiction.
They issued the Obamas issued a joint statement, said that they are still firmly behind Joe, and they believe that he is the best guy to beat Donald Trump in November. And the other thing that we need to keep in mind is that just because Joe is older and quieter, they're upset because he's not the hellfire and brimstone guy of the 2012 election. Raining, yelling at Paul Ryan for an hour and a half.
Well, I mean, but on the other hand, if you saw him at the NAACP, I think it was yesterday, like, he still has that in him. It's just that on that particular evening, just on that particular evening, he was coming off of what was probably a bad cold, which, he had to cancel
he had to cancel his thing in Las Vegas because he's got COVID.
He got COVID. Right.
Yeah, he's got
Right.
COVID again.
But what I'm getting at is that he was obviously coming off of a cold, or at least on the last legs of it. He was on cold meds. He had probably had a cold for about a week, and that was a week after he got back from Europe, where he was doing very important work. And at the same time, he was sick as a dog and coming off of that jet lag. He had to prepare for a debate, which turned out to be not the debate he was prepared for. Where you had one guy shooting lies and exaggerations in his ear for...
Which, yeah, his debate coach also needs a talking to.
Right. But it's like they were shooting out lies and exaggerations like a Tommy gun in his ear. And then in his other ear, he was hearing from the moderators in front of him telling him, hey, we're not going to do anything to pretty much check him. You have to check him, but do so within 60 seconds or less. And it's like, I don't care if you're 81 or you're 8, you're sick or you're healthy. That's a hard thing to do.
It was crazy because, if you want to argue who was more coherent in that debate, I would say neither of them, because Donald Trump was just. He was forming full words and not slurring his speech. But then again, unlike Joe Biden, he doesn't have a speech impediment. He may have a brain impediment because of the fact that he just spouts off nonsense continuously for an hour and a half.
He was shooting off lies, exaggerations, bigotries, and word salad like a Tommy gun. And it's like, that does something to you.
I mean, Joe Biden was trying to answer the questions, whereas Donald Trump was just speaking nonsensically for 90 minutes.
Nonsense.
So, I mean, what's... Yeah. So, I mean, how is one better than the other? At that point. I would say very much so Joe, because even though it was difficult to listen to him kind of stutter through that whole thing, I would have been stupefied too. It was like somebody had cast stupefaction on him because of the fact that he was trying to process all of the nonsense after everything he had just been through the previous week.
Unfortunately, certain people do prefer fluent, hateful nonsense over anything that doesn't have great aesthetics.
But it's like he was that. But yeah, it's like
it would have been. It would
if
have been
you
like
or I
it would
were
have been
standing right there. It's like, sorry. It's like if you or I were standing right there, and having a little Tommy gun of lies, bigotry, exaggerations, word salad being shot at in your ear, and then on the other ear, it's like in your brain you're going, okay, what the heck did he just say? What? And
I think it should have been the other way around. I think it should have been the other way around. It should have been Joe Biden going, I don't know how you want me to answer that because I don't know what the fuck he just said.
And that's the point where I'm trying to get at also.
Joe Biden,
you have to respect.
If Joe had come out, if that version of Joe Biden had come out, if F-Bomb Joe had come out that time, I would have totally given him 100% pass on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's harder to shut up to do the shut up man thing when your mic is off.
Yeah, but he was like,
there was also
that would have been my response
to
everything. It's like, well, how would you like me to respond to that? Because that was babbling bullshit right there.
He was basically debating a heckler.
I was going to have to also say that, he had to do all of that while also trying to remain professional because, well, some people might not like it if he drops an F-bomb. Which, yes, would be probably the natural response to anybody in that situation, but at the same time,
I mean, does it really matter?
Like that,
does it really matter what people think about the quality of the discourse coming from the left, considering what Donald Trump was saying on that stage? Donald Trump may as well have been cursing. He may as well have been cursing incoherently for 90 minutes because there was not a single thing of value that he said. So even though he was able to form complete sentences, which is shocking. I mean, it was literally like trying to read his Truth Social feed. Listening to him talk.
I would not suggest that, by the way.
No, don't. Oh my! One big lead and record numbers. It just
Confee and whatnot.
Look,
Kofifi.
Look.
Kofifi,
It's like, look. nobody here is suggesting that his night was 100% good and great, and yeah, he was fine. He was fine. It's like, no. I mean, but the fact of the matter is that, first of all, especially if you watch the whole thing and like toward the tail end, he was starting to at least get some of his, mojo back. It probably wasn't enough to, get back what was lost in that 30 minutes, but at the same time, especially when you consider what he was like the night, the day after, the week after, and all these rallies and stuff like that, which, by the way, actually kind of does make
I
the
do
argument
wanna
that he's
slap-
not that.
I do want to slap George Stephanopoulos with a ball-peen hammer for coming out after his
Mhm.
Biden and saying, I don't think he'll survive
Yeah,
4
yeah,
years. 4 more years as president.
Yeah,
It's like, you know what?
yeah,
Shut the fuck up, you corporate
TMZ.
stooge.
Yeah.
Like, dude, shut the fuck up, you goddamn corporate stooge.
Yep. He should have known that was a TMZ guy and should have said, I got no comment. Bye. But no, you had to let it out, and it kind of
One
exposed
thing
what a lot of people in the bubbles are thinking,
It's the one thing that
and that's
the
why they're getting
Democrats have-
hell.
Yeah, it's the one thing that the Democrats have excelled at for 40 years is shooting themselves in the fucking foot.
Now, let me just say that it is a specific kind of Democrat right now, because there are a lot of Democrats right now who are absolutely pissed about what these Democrats are doing.
Oh, I know.
And
I know.
there's clear divides here. This is a moment in time where family business is going to be taken care of within the next 2 weeks. And the message is really going to be very fucking clear that the rich white men who think that they still run this party do not run this party anymore. And they have not since the 90s. I mean, James Carville?
Oh my god.
Like the last time he was relevant, Hollywood Video was a thing.
I miss Hollywood
I don't even
Video.
use the Blockbuster. Yeah, I don't want to even use the Blockbuster Video, routine there, because
Well, Blockbuster outlasted Hollywood Video.
DVDs, but
Yeah.
right. But
well,
what I'm getting at,
Blockbuster
what I'm
at
getting
least
at is
outlived
this.
Hollywood Video.
Right, that's why I'm using Hollywood Video, because he was last relevant when VHS tapes were what people rented at a video store, and when people rented VHS tapes at a video store, the 90s. He has not been relevant since. The last couple of years, he's been trying to do things for his Louisiana Democratic Party, which is now in the abyss because it was run by a condem, and then when that condem got turned out, Louisiana went full MAGA. So it's like Jim over there should probably focus more on his home state than the country, especially when he's zooming into television networks from a freaking cruise.
He can't even get rid of a dipshit like... He can't even get rid of a dipshit like Kennedy. Who the fuck is he to talk on Joe Biden? Aren't they the same age?
Yeah, it's like...
Carville's take several seats, as the Gen Zs would say.
Especially if you're doing it while zooming in from a cruise.
Yeah.
Like, you want people to think that you're not an elitist?
Oh my god.
Not from your house, not from a freaking cruise ship. Not when we can clearly see the buffet window, okay?
Yeah. It's like you got enough money, James. You could buy a fake container house to record from.
Right. like all of these rich white men never liked Joe to begin with. Like they probably wanted someone else. They wanted somebody else. They wanted someone that, was different. They never liked him. They've never liked Kamala. They never liked any of them. That's the most important thing to think about here. And
like I said, the biggest takeaway from all of this is don't listen to people who say we should totally remove this guy and replace him with whom.
Right. It's like
those are people who do not have answers.
By the way, when you hear somebody say pass the torch, that's the exact same name of the super PAC that supported the Chicken McNobody Democratic backbencher who tried to primary him and got lost in the abyss of apathy. because nobody gave a damn about him, and the only reason that I knew about him was because he represented my late grandmother. Probably one of the very few people who knew who the hell Dean Phillips was. If you really cared about his age, which is not a new development from the last few months, by the way, this was an issue in 2020 when he first ran. Okay? If you really, really worried about his age, you would have you would have taken the dive and taken the plunge with Dean last fall. Guess what? You didn't, because you knew for a fact that it wasn't going to work. Because the base of the Democratic Party, black and brown Democrats, are with Joe Biden and are not going to move for you, especially if you are a white man. It's just that simple. These people do not understand the modern Democratic Party, and black Democrats are just, I feel for them right now because they're looking at the situation and going, do they not trust us? Again.
And black Democrats are I think I don't think that there's a chance in hell of them going against Joe right now because of the fact that black unemployment is at the lowest point it's been in 5 decades?
Oh, because here's the situation with that. Here's the reason why they're not moving off of him, and it's more than just that. Yeah,
I mean,
black
just that alone
black
would be
small
enough.
business.
Yeah,
Yeah, just that alone would that be enough? But it's a more basic thing than that. First of all, he stood by Barack Obama for 8 years. Now, what Barack and his world and whatever they think about, that's their thing. But for the black Democratic, electorate as a whole, particularly the Congressional Black Caucus, Clyburn, Benny Thompson, them, right?
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to them, it doesn't really matter what Obama world thinks. The fact of the matter was, Joe Biden, a white man, was willing to play the right-hand man to a black man as president for 8 years, and proudly did so.
I believe the expression that was actually used was second fiddle.
Mm-hmm, right, exactly. He wanted to play second fiddle. He was willing to play second fiddle to a black man. That matters to a lot of black Democrats and black Americans. A white man was willing to play second fiddle to a black man. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's the basic. That's the basic thing. And then you get to the fact that when the time came for him to run, when it came to the point where, white voters did not want him, he lost in Iowa, he lost in New Hampshire. When he went down to less white areas, where did he go to? Whose votes did he want to court? Black votes. And then, when he won the nomination, because he did that, because none of the other candidates were even willing to do that, Biden was the only one that made a hard, consistent, aggressive effort to do that. When everybody else, when he won the nomination, who did he turn to for his running mate? The only other candidate in that cycle who had anywhere close to the support of the black electorate that he did. Kamala Harris. She was the only one that had anywhere close to the level of congressional black endorsements, grassroots energy, and frankly was probably the only real Democrat on that stage that was willing to take it to him on a serious policy matter. And she dropped out because of the fact that rich white Dems flooded the zone of the primary with mediocre, no chance in hell white candidates. Tim Ryan, one of them. Bill de Blasio, that Delaney guy, I forgot his first name. To the point where you had not one, but 2 debate nights, one of them being literally called a kids' table night. Right? And what that did was shrink the pie of potential donors. Right? To the point where it got to where eventually candidates were going to lose money because other candidates were taking their money. And guess what happened to Kamala Harris when the time came where it was either I continue to campaign or my staff does not have a holiday season. So fast forward a couple of months later, when it came time for the running mate decision, Joe Biden chose Kamala Harris despite a hard, aggressive, loud, and intense lobbying in the media to tell Joe to choose somebody else. Joe Biden told them, fuck you, I'm choosing Kamala. The black voters want her. The black voters got me to this dance. I'm choosing Kamala. And then guess what happened a couple of months later? The bet by the black electorate paid off. So Joe Biden and Kamala Harris know what this game is. Joe and Kamala know
we do
who
need
brought
to make
them
sure
the
that we
dance.
don't piss them off with too much international stuff or whatever. The whole
what I'm getting to the
Palestine
point
thing,
is,
but
right.
yeah.
But which is not as big of an animating issue as you might think it might be. That's another story. But
That
the point of the matter is
it's
this.
not.
That and the pendulum always swings on that one. If you
Right.
support Palestine over Israel, then you've got one side hating you and the other side loving you. And if you support Israel over Palestine, then you've
Right.
got the other side loving you and the first side hating
Right,
you.
but
So
the fact
that's a no-win scenario at this moment.
But that's why it's not as hard of an issue as, say, Vietnam in '68, right?
Yeah.
But that's
There
a
was
different
no
story. What
good
I'm getting
of
to the point
Vietnam,
is this.
But yes.
Right. But what I'm getting to the point is this. This game is not the first time we've seen this game play out. It's just a louder, intenser, and more just annoying and disgusting version of it that is based not on fact, that is based on nothing substantial other than vibes and feelings and of people who have not had a firm control on the Democratic Party for a good decade. And it's probably racist in mind. And
All right.
I'm telling you, this palace coup, this attempted palace coup, which is what this is, if it succeeds, there is going to be backlash. Which none of these people who are
My
proposing
question is, how would it succeed?
Well, it wouldn't succeed. That's the point.
Yeah,
It can't. It can't. At this point,
but people are like,
It's a
people
lot
keep
of
acting like it still has a chance. That's what bugs me.
No, it's just
that's
the
what
fringe
bugs everybody about this.
It's just the fringe. It's just the fringe on Twitter that believes that it has a chance. These are the same people that used to cook up insane stuff like, so and so could totally get in there, and then they would appoint so and so as their vice president, and then they would resign, and then the vice president would become president. The point is,
Twitter.
It's these dumb, these uninformed, don't know how the system works, numbnuts, crazies that believe this kind of bullshit.
By the way,
there was people talking about Joe Biden stepping aside and Kamala Harris running for president in his stead and appointing Michelle Obama as vice president, so then Harris would get elected and then resign, so that way Michelle could be president.
I want what they're smoking, please.
Why the fuck would that happen?
Right. Well, the ones that really bug me are the ones that have, and I don't know if you've seen this or not, people who have a palm tree and a coconut in their profile. I'm sure you've come across at least somebody with this, I think. But if not, watch out for them, because there are people who claim to be supportive of dump Biden for Kamala. Here's a bit of a problem with that. In Southeastern Asian culture, using the coconut is a slur to describe someone who is too white. Just like, in the black community, there's, the Oreo cookie.
On the inside.
Right, exactly. Similar to how, half white, half black people are called an Oreo cookie.
Among
It's basically
other
the same
things,
concept.
yes.
I haven't heard that one.
That's probably the nicest way
Yeah,
I've
that's
heard that.
I've heard
right.
both.
But and I'm pretty sure. I mean, you probably haven't seen this on like Facebook and other places, but it's wild on Twitter. You just look on Twitter and look for people with a palm tree and a coconut in their bio. They don't understand that it's a slur. But yeah.
All right.
The point of the matter at the end of the day is this: this whole thing isn't going to work. Eventually, at some point, these people are going to realize that it's not going to work. They're going to realize that Joe Biden is not going to step aside, and no, him getting COVID is not going to accelerate anything. And family business is going to be taken care of in Chicago. Because I can tell you right now, I actually do follow a number of actual Biden delegates, real deal. They're not happy about this. They're pissed about this. And these people who are suggesting that Joe Biden and or Kamala Harris should step aside or get booted from the ticket, they're going to have to come right up against these Biden delegates who are pissed, who are furious, who are upset. And they're going to have to give them an explanation as to why they're doing this, and especially in the way that they have. Which is by having their people spill tea to the press. And I'm going to enjoy it. Because the Biden delegates are going to stick by their man, and they're not going to buy a single bit of bullshit that's going to be spewed from them. I am so looking forward to the DNC.
All right. So
and that's the end of that.
Since it was starting to go around in circles there, reading a couple of things. Adam, let's just talk about entertainment news for 5 minutes here so I can have a cleanse.
I'm done, by the way. I just needed to get it out because I've been pissed all week. I'm sorry.
Not that this wasn't entertaining in its own way.
Yeah. Sorry. I've just been pissed.
Yeah.
I've just been pissed and I wanted to get it all out. I didn't want to. I was a bit hesitant, but it's like at this point, fuck it.
You know what? I wasn't sure at first, so I'm glad you clarified.
Right. It's like I was very much not wanting to because I was exhausted, frankly, but at the same time, it's like, you know what?
Somehow you found the energy.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is giving me a whole bunch of energy. Shoot, it's better than coffee.
We noticed.
But anyway, let's. What do we want to do for entertainment?
Entertainment news. Who's on fire this week?
Well, first of all, I suppose the overriding question is anything new with Paramount Global?
Well, no? I mean, at this point, we're just waiting for. We're basically now in the it has to close phase, which will take a couple months.
Okay, if the answer is no, then we can move on.
More to the point. More to the point. Right. Actually, more to the point is we're waiting for firing, but
it's in regulatory morass.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Why?
Okay.
Because Kevin's been talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in regulatory morass right now. That's where it is.
It's in regulatory morass, and we're just waiting for when the first round of firings is going to come from them. So that's what we're waiting for next.
All right.
Anyhow.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Good. All right. Moving on. Let's see. Well, we've got the first PV of the Ramna 1/2 remake. And we've gotten, a lot of new details, actually. First of all, the studio has been revealed not to be David Production, as previously suspected, but instead fucking Mappa. I guess it was... I guess 5 minutes had gone by and they hadn't announced a new major project.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Mappa is, They're one of the studios that power probably your favorite anime right now. Like, they're the people behind Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, the last season of Attack on Titan. Like, let's see, Hell's Paradise. There's probably some other stuff mixed in there because
Oh yeah, they have like
you know,
what 4 or 5 shows a season. I wish I was joking about that.
I'm like, yeah, they've
Yeah.
been pretty infamous for their working conditions, which have been not good even by anime industry standards.
Yeah, to put it lightly.
Like, and yeah, this seems to be their next major thing. Like, as it's coming sooner than anticipated. Like, it's releasing on October 5th. So it'll be part of the fall season. I think people were expecting this to come next year.
Yeah.
Also worth noting, apparently Netflix grabbed it, though it looks like it's going to be weekly. I hope it's weekly because
Netflix jail sucks.
I mean, it's airing on. I mean, it's airing. From what I read, it's airing on NTV, Nihon Television over in Japan. So it's having a TV airing. So I'm assuming that means it's going to be weekly.
Then it'll be weekly.
Well,
because
the problem with that, Kevin, is there are some games or some shows that had weekly airings in Japan but got trapped in Netflix jail just to get
they don't
pitched
seem
out.
to do. They seem to have learned their lesson from the JoJo debacle.
Right.
Like, they haven't really done that since that was a thing. Like, anyway, so that aside, we've gotten a good look at what this remake or readaptation is probably the proper word for it.
Yeah.
Because it's looking a lot more like the manga. Like, apparently, like, a lot more in the way of manga accurate outfits from scene to scene. Like,
I mean, the outfits were pretty accurate in the original one, I thought.
Apparently, they're more accurate. This is just, like people who have been eagle-eyeing this shit. At least on Twitter. Like, make of that what you will. Probably the most stark thing is how not stark Ramna's hair is.
It's definitely pink rather than red, and frankly, the color that they chose for it is rather more like what Takahashi usually used when she was coloring art for the series. I mean, what actual color it was varied, but it was generally not primary colors. It was usually something weird.
Well, yeah, it's kind of in line with what modern anime looks like. Like, how do I put this? Nothing looks like anime from the 90s, really. Like,
yeah.
Just kind of like, I'm not saying that they probably couldn't do Ramna's hair, blinding, blistering red. It's like, but they're choosing not to. Like, and not sure where that's coming from. Like, if that's something from, Rumiko Takahashi herself or the staff. Like, I'm sure this is probably
You
something
mean who
that's
chose it?
Yeah, who chose it. Like, we don't know if it's the mangaka, if it's the creative team, like, because this is something that's definitely going to come up in the run-up. Like, or it's some fucking Q&A. Because, like I said, Ramchand's hair is really fucking iconic. Like, honestly too iconic to get away with what it was actually like in the manga, which, by the way, was actually black, if I'm remembering correctly. For both genders.
It was solid black tone, but
Yeah.
like 90% of the characters in the series have solid black tone hair.
Right. The thing is, her hair wasn't a consistent color. Like,
the manga is black and white, and there are.
I mean, when she colorized manga.
Oh yeah, no, it varied, and honestly, I think she settled a bit into red after more once the anime was going, but most of it would have been like, actually, pink and purple are fairly common, I think.
Green has also come up.
Yeah.
That's my point. Rumiko Takahashi didn't standardize the color. The anime.
The colors she used for colored art from manga splash pages or promo pictures were very stylized and not like quote unquote realistically colored.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's not what I'm getting at. Like, I mean, once again, nothing from the 80s, 90s series was really realistically colored either. Like, it's very
that's why the anime was able to define her hair color as red, because that's the only place that it had a consistent color that was not just like, oh hey, there are like three kinds of there are like three possibilities: black, outline, or some kind of half-tone screen tone that's a pain in the butt to do.
I'm aware of that. I'm just saying, it's not a thing that technically came from the manga.
Right.
But it's too attached to the character to, all of a sudden have her hair be, purple or green or black. It's not cherry red either, but it's closer to that than other colors.
Mm-hmm.
Also worth noting is, in terms of the old show, they've gotten all of the cast members who are still alive. Not everyone is currently alive. The voice actor for Katawake Kuno passed away.
I think Kuno's lost 2 voice actors.
I'm like, well, the point is, previous voice actor not alive.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Ukio's voice actress is not alive. So they're being replaced. Everyone else coming back, which is a...
Really? The father's voice actors were... I guess they didn't have to be old.
I'm like, okay, he's a special case because Genma Satoume's voice actor is returning, but as the narrator. But that's apparently due to health reasons.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. There are plenty of older characters who are voiced by older people.
I'm like, well, that's what I'm getting at. Like, he's still returning, but in a different role.
In a smaller role. Smaller in terms of number of lines you're going to say at a time.
Yeah.
And it looks like Megumi Hayashibara is not as old as I thought she was. She was born in 1967.
Yeah, boy, isn't that a name blast from the past?
Well, her voice is super iconic in almost all of her roles, and she has not done much in a long time.
I know, but it's like if you're if you're familiar with 90s anime, she's a name that came up a lot. That's exactly what I'm getting at. So, for her to come back. Now, we don't know how many episodes this is going to be, for how long it's going to run, but, there's a lot of material. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is like the Urushi Yatsura remake in that it's 4 cores or something like that. It could be like, don't know if they're splitting cores. Like I said, those details have not been revealed yet. Like, still,
I think
a lot-
4 hours is probably the shortest amount you could get all of the important bits of Ranma in, and then you're still losing a significant number of, random Ranma needs to do martial art, learn a new stupid martial art to save the dojo or pay off a debt or not have to marry someone or whatever.
I'm like, anything goes. I'm like,
I mean,
that
the original anime was around 150 episodes plus OVAs and movies, and still didn't get to the end, I think.
Well, that's because as mentioned last time, it wrapped up in 1992, and the manga, I believe, went to 1997. So, yeah, how could it get to the end when it was still ongoing?
Yeah, admittedly, the original anime did have a lot of filler. And also inexplicably rearranged some stuff. Some of it is literally filler in the sense of, well, we want to let the manga get a bit of a head start, so here, have the return of minor NPC, or Jusenkyo Guideman visits Japan for some fucking reason.
Look, there were a lot of liberties the old series took.
All I'm saying is, if the Jusenkyo Guideman visits Japan, who's watching the fucking springs?
That's a good question. That's not going to get answered because it's not important.
Not even really canon.
I know, but like I said, there's a lot of things in that show aren't canon. Like Dr. Tofu, yeah, he's technically in the manga, but he was such a minor character. Like he gets phased out very quickly. Like. Or, probably the biggest addition is Sasuke. They
gave the Kunos a pet ninja who gets more character development than many. Well, in fairness, being non-canon, he's not stuck in character trait stasis either. But
I mean, it's the Rumiko Takahashi special.
Also, somewhat to the detriment of also extremely one-note character Hikaru Gosenkugi, who is really big into voodoo dolls and still shows up later, but they give his original important role to Sasuke.
Right.
As Kuno's toady.
I mean, yeah, it's like, don't expect him to show up. Like, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we should probably wrap up this week.
Yeah, we're good here.
Okay. Unless another calamitous act of God were to occur. Next week we have, is it Carlos or Carlos?
Carlos, I believe.
All right. So Carlos Faraz of Wicked Comics is going to be on the show next week. And Adam, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Let me see here. I can get to the right page. I hate that. Hang on. Okay. Publisher of they're another comic book publisher. Creators of Clown Man, Kill Switch, Bloodstone, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Haven't picked a focus yet, but that might be incumbent on what they send over the next week.
All right.
Yeah. No. But should be a good time.
All right. Well, looking forward to that. And like I said, knock on wood, hopefully nothing else goes sideways over the next week or so. But that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. I hope everybody had fun listening, and I hope enjoy the VOD. As always, I am your host, Mac Hollidan. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.